Today, we're going to be making a video on Arc Raiders. If you've been around at all in my live streams in the past year or so, twitch.tv/goldeagle by the way, you would know that I have really been hyping this game up and I am so excited for it to finally come out. But after playing the Server Slam this past week, I wanted to make a video talking about if Arc Raiders can reach the hype. Let's talk about some good things that have me very excited, but also some concerns I have for the game. Starting with the good things, let's talk about the environment and the overall aesthetic of the game. And guys, this game looks phenomenal. Even if you are someone who doesn't care at all for extraction shooters, I'm sure we can all agree how beautiful this game is. Embark absolutely nailed it. And next is going to be the gunplay and the gunfights, not only against other raiders, but also against the Arc robots. The gunplay to me does feel very smooth overall. Some of the starter weapons with no attachments don't feel the greatest, but once you start to level them up and put on some better attachments, they actually start to feel really good. This is exactly how progression in a game like this should be, always making you look forward to finding or crafting your next best weapon. The next good thing is going to be the enemy Arc robots. And yes, they have absolutely cooked with the Arc enemies, making them very difficult to deal with early on, but also making all of them feel very unique and different in their own way. We have drones that can shoot your team from the sky. We have things like the Snitch that when they spot you will call other Arc enemies to come hunt you down. We have the Leaper, which if shot at all will jump all the way across the map to chase you down. And of course, we have the lovely Rocketeer that if messed with will probably wipe your entire squad. I absolutely love how well they've done with the Arc enemies in this game. And the next thing we are going to talk about is the optimization. At first, this was actually going to be a concern because I wasn't very impressed with how the game ran in the Tech Test 2. But in the Server Slam, with all the added upscaling features, the game performed substantially better than I thought it was going to. I probably went from playing in the Tech Test 2 around 80 to 90 FPS in most maps to running a smooth and consistent 260 to 280 frames in the Server Slam. Very impressed how optimized this game felt, even on a really big map with a lot of players and enemies. And now we're going to move on to some concerns I have for the launch of Arc Raiders. And keep in mind, these are all just my opinions. I'm not saying any of these things are going to happen or anything like that. It's just some concerns I have for the game and some opinions I wanted to talk about. And my first concern for Arc Raiders is going to be cheaters. I think this is one that we can all relate to and really hope that cheaters are not a big problem in this game. I know Embark has said they are going to do whatever they can to combat cheaters and try to keep the game fair for everyone. But I would be lying to you guys if I said I wasn't at least a little bit worried about cheaters. Since cheating is such a really big problem in gaming, I really hope it's not something we have to deal with in Arc Raiders. But I will say it does seem like some other games like Battlefield is doing a really good job at taking care of cheaters. So let's hope Arc Raiders can do the same thing. Because the last thing that we want in an extraction shooter, which is a game that you can lose all of your loot in, is cheaters. You definitely don't want to feel like you lost your loot because someone else had an unfair advantage. And the next concern we have is kind of a weird one, but it's actually the third-person camera view. Guys, I have heard from so many people, and I mean so many people, that they won't even try this game since it's third person, or at least they do wish it was a first-person shooter instead. While I don't think third person is going to hurt the game overall, especially if the game is really good, we can look at some examples like Fortnite or even Marvel Rivals. It is very interesting to me that so many people won't even give the game a try just because it's not first person. And the next concern that I have is going to be the solo play or solo queue in Arc Raiders. Solo queue so far has been really fun for me. I think I've actually played more solo than with a full team, but I would be lying if I said that you could do just as much solo as with a team. I think these kind of games are absolutely amazing if you have a full squad of buddies that you always play with. But if you are mostly a solo player, you have to play the game completely different than you do with a full team. And I know a lot of this probably seems like common sense. Like, of course you can do way more with a full squad than you can solo, but it still is a concern of mine that solo queue is pretty hard, and most of the best moments and loot you are probably going to find is when you have a full squad. I just don't want people to stop playing the game or not even be willing to try the game just because the solo experience is so much different. And the last thing we're going to talk about is actually the game's genre, being an extraction shooter. This is a pretty big concern for mine, and it could actually be the biggest concern that I have for Arc Raiders. I feel like there is so many gamers out there that when they hear the words extraction shooter, they just think of the worst game possible. And that does concern me because when Arc Raiders was first announced as an extraction shooter, people were very upset. It seems like in its early development, when the game was just a PvE looter shooter, people liked that idea more than when they transitioned to an extraction shooter. And I think you can even see that in the way they named the game's genre, being an extraction adventure shooter. I think they wanted to call it something more than just an extraction shooter. But I feel like the extraction shooter genre is not looked at as a very good thing, especially if you're not in the bubble of playing extraction shooters. If you are on the outside, like if you play different kinds of games, pretty much everyone that's looking from the outside perspective looks at extraction shooters like they are bad games, which, to be fair, 99% of the people with those opinions have not tried an extraction shooter. Because speaking from my viewpoint, I also thought extraction shooters were probably bad because of all the negative conversation around it until I tried Delta Force. And then from that moment forward, I knew extraction shooters were actually really fun. I really enjoy the gameplay loop of them and the added intensity of losing all of your loot. They are so much fun to keep playing. And I'm really hoping that Arc Raiders is the game that is going to change the outlook and viewpoint on extraction shooters moving forward. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments down below. I want to hear the things that excite you and worries you for Arc Raiders. If you guys did like the video and you want to see more Arc Raiders content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And thank you guys so much for watching.